not to be overlooked in the least is these head bolts, the bolts that holds the head onto the engine, onto the studs. These are original ones, and you can readily tell the old style nuts from the new style, as they are flat on the back, the way they were forged, I'm going to think. And in use, the type that they are, and you will find them that has a imprint on the back of them as to where they was at on that head. And as you clean them up, they get in a different position, and you actually need to address these, each individual ones, to its own needs. And one of the things that I do, one of the reasons that I don't classify my engines as restored is I set these right. And the way I do it, I'll show you. Just enough on the 1-inch belt sander, just enough to flatten it out. Now this is only on the back side because I want this one right here to have the rust on it. So I just knocked them off the back, and if you look at that one over here, it's quite taller than it is over here. But yet the thread and the back side are in true to each other. And to knock that little edge off right there, and round that off. And once you get that rounded off, you can take it right here. Okay, now that's all I'm going to do to that nut right there. And the only thing I did is flattened it off and knock that edge off there, that curl, and that's you will find that on most of them. So this is ready to use on this engine. It will be tightened up with no lock washer. Time to press this shaft out of this flywheel. Probably ought to take this opportunity to add in some history. Some very seldom I think that you find an engine that has never been worked on. And as I take this engine apart, I'm finding that to be the case. And I'm going to disassemble this governor system here, and it is all seized up. It's tight. This is a weak point on these engines. These outriggers here are very weak. Cast iron, such as it is. But the history part that we can observe on this engine, thinking it is original as it came from the factory. And on observance, when I took these bolts out of the weights over there, they do have green paint on the inside of that set screw. This one also has green paint in there, and it has green paint on the outside of it. Just remnants, just very remnants, as does this one that would go into the collar assembly itself. Holds all that on there. But the reason for this little insert, this little, not even going to call it a side trip, let's call it a history lesson, is I'm thinking, as of disassembling several of these engines, and I have observed this exact configuration in a different measurement. The adjusting of these weights between the flywheel spokes and they did that to center this weight up and just tighten everything up, as these was not machined surfaces, they're as cast. And on this side right here, you can see they have 2 spacer washers right in there, right here, and over here they have 1. Okay, on this side over here, they have 1 spacer washer here. It's loose, it's not tight. And over here they have none. Those washers are the same as the washers on the engine side cover plates. Being that it's the same washer that they used at the factory. And if you put the micrometer on there, they come out about, these are not the same. They vary from like almost 30 thousandths down to 20 thousandths. It was not a precision washer by no means. But anyways, I just wanted to bring that to our attention. When we put this engine back together, we will put the appropriate amount of spacers in there, and when you move parts around, cleaning them and putting them back together, then you end up with a different spacing here, so that the weights will be equal in the distance between the spokes. Even the springs has green paint on this adjusting part here. It has remnants of green paint, and the spring itself has green paint left on it. Confirming the fact that these engines were assembled and just painted as a whole. They were not painted piece by piece. I'm kind of thinking you will find them with green paint on this brass part right up in here. Now, I don't see any on this particular one right here. This part here's got the green paint, but on this particular one, maybe right there's a little green remnants of green paint. But that's just observance as we put one together. And next project is to get this over. I'm just going to tell you about it. Press this out, and we'll do a light cleanup on this part and put it all back together, get it ready to go on the engine.